What's going on, San Marcos, Texas? Welcome to episode 63, our season 5 of Talking Those Podcast, Texas. I'm Coach Jason.
And I'm Coach Janelle.
And guys, we are back for a new season. So thank everybody for listening. Man, all over the world, we appreciate our listeners in Iceland, in Australia, in Asia, South America, in the U.S. So thanks for the love. Thanks for the downloads. Thanks for the support on YouTube as well. We saw a lot of downloads and thumbs up for that. So we appreciate the positivity that we're hearing on YouTube. So again, we're trying to do the best we can. If you don't like what we're doing, hey, shoot us a line. We're coachable. We can definitely change it. If you like what we're doing, just subscribe and continue to give us likes and download. We appreciate everything. Nothing's changed as much as far as season 4 goes into season 5. Our sponsors are still going to be the same. How we do things are going to be the same. The only thing that's really kind of changed is we're going to kind of change our episodes and how we get them out. Basically, our goal each month now for 2022 is to do 2 episodes a month and kind of do this thing year round. So you're going to get 24 episodes per year. That's going to be 2 a month. And the reason we're going to do that is Janelle and I both have daytime jobs that we're responsible for. And then on top of that, we are responsible for lessons. As y'all know, we are responsible for training with the Thorn Factory. And now since I've taken on lifting DFW and promoting that and getting the trailer up and ready to sell in 2022, we're just kind of overwhelmed with everything that's going on. And it's hard to kind of fit the recording time in to get these episodes out to y'all. So we're going to do the best job we can. We're going to try to maybe minimize that lack of scheduling with the recordings of the podcasts so we can get those out to y'all in a more efficient, simpler manner. So again, that's how it's going to work, and we'll get into it. Season 5, man, thank you so much for our sponsors that's been with us since day one. Texas Track and Field Coaches Association. Go to ttfca.org. Stuart Cantor is just an amazing guy. He's got a lot of stuff going on for track and field in the state of Texas. So go to that website and check it out. All the meet results, if you're looking for meets and posts and all that stuff, that's going to be on that website as well. Our favorite implement company, fourthrows.com. Quality implements priced right. Go to fourthrows.com. Use code TalkingToes10 to get 10% off. Now on the website, if you go to fourthrows.com, you'll be able to find these really cool Fiber Sports discus that just came out by Bruce Caldwell. So use the code TalkingToes10 and you'll be able to get a cool discus and look really cool and maybe throw far with these new evolutionary discs that kind of takes the rim weight guessing out of things. But also too, at fourthrows.com, you can also order hammer, javelin, shot puts, and he does have other discus as well that might be a better suit for you besides the Fiber Sports. So I just want to get that out there as well. So, and also Porta-Circle, porta-circle.com, making throwing more accessible. Go to Porta-Circle. Again, use code TalkingToes10 to get you a new circle. Winter's here. If you have access to outside training and you need to train indoors in a gym, in a school hallway, what better to have a Porta-Circle to put down as a good visual and a good reference for your athletes to throw in. Ready Up Athletic Development, our favorite personal training, Olympics strength conditioning in the greater Austin area, ran by Zach Phillips. His cell is 512-507-8347. Go to readyupad.com. And you can also follow Ready Up on Instagram and Facebook. Again, that's Zach Phillips at 512-507-8347. And then just like we spoke about Fiber Sports Discus, a new way to get distance. Fiber Sports Discus is taking the guesswork out of discus selection. It's just not about the rim weight anymore. You can go to fibersportsdiscus.com to check those out and get the science behind what Bruce did with developing the new Fiber Sports Discus. So we appreciate that. Remind everybody too that we got West at the Thorn Factory led by Coach Kai, and Coach Jarvis is running East at the Thorn Factory. They're still doing lessons and bringing on recruits, getting ready for the indoor season, but also for the summer season as well. So if you have questions about their location or certain tips or anything like that, you can check those guys out. They're in contact information on thethornfactory.com. And just remind everybody too that we have the shopping page on thethornfactory.com. New apparel's coming, old apparel's going to be out there. So if you want to look cool, your neck track meet, go to the shopping page on thethornfactory.com. Today's guest is the current director of track and field and coaching at Texas State University. He has over 30 years of experience in coaching in track and field. Some of his stops have been just most recently at UCLA, his alma mater. He's had stops in the SEC at Tennessee, also in the Pac-12 in Arizona, back in the SEC at Florida. He has coached over 21 conference champions. He's coached 57 All-Americans. He's coached 5 national champions, and he's even coached 4 Olympians. Back in 1985 and 1986, he was a 3-time NCAA champion in the shot put in indoor once, and the outdoor was twice. And in 1982, he was recruited to UCLA by the legendary throws coach Art Venegas. Please welcome to episode 63 of Talking Throws Podcast Texas Style, Mr. John Frazier. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you too. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
How things going for you so far?
They're going well. They're going well. Just came back from California for seeing my family for Christmas, and
okay.
And happy to be back here where I got a little more freedom.
Yes, sir. Understand that. Well, we appreciate you being on so much. To be honest, it's an honor for me to even talk to you. I've learned a lot from your videos over the years, from watching you throw. And it's just a privilege to have someone of your legendary status, so to speak, on our little podcast. So we appreciate it.
Well, I'm humbled, and I'll accept it, even though I am not at that status.
I understand. Awesome. So, Coach Frazier, let's tell us, you've been at San Marcos since August, I believe, 1st of September. What's been going on with you in the program in the fall and stuff?
Well, I was really excited to come, and I saw all of the possibilities of success here, and I've had a lot of great direction from Luke Bryant, who is already here in San Marcos, who's my my assistant throws coach.
Okay.
And the great thing about Luke, he's also an athletic director over development. And with that position, he has a coaching position as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Coming in the door, he helped us to navigate quickly, how to work here at Texas and how things work in San Marcos. And that allowed me to quickly focus on recruiting, getting to know the team, finding out our weaknesses, our strengths. And over the course of this past fall, my staff of my sprint coach, Trent Edgerton, my jumps coach, Kendall Gustafson, my distance coach, Eric Stevens, they've done a great job working together, making sure things are going in the right direction, and very excited from that end.
Wow. So now, I don't know if Texas State hasn't been like, or Southwest Texas back in the day when we were younger, maybe not been the power of coaching the power in track and field. What attracted you to this job, especially you leaving, UCLA and the Pac-12 and your alma mater?
Well, I've been fortunate. The previous 23 years, I've coached at University of Florida, University of Arizona, University of Tennessee, and again, my alma mater, where I thought I was going to retire.
Mm-hmm.
And things changed where, UCLA is a great school. I have my degree there. My wife has 2 degrees. My daughter graduated from there.
Oh, wow.
And I love UCLA, but I wasn't feeling like I can do the things that I've been doing in the past while I was there. An opportunity came where Texas State came knocking on the door, and I saw this university that has its own track and field facility that you don't have to share with anyone, its own weight room. It's literally connected to my office. I can walk right in the weight room from my office. All of our locker rooms, training room, all connected together in the north end zone of the football stadium. And
Wow.
the door, I see this big open area inside. I'm like, boy, it'd be great to put a net up there where when it's bad weather, whether it's hot or cold or rainy or whatever. And within 2 weeks, they put a net up. So we have an indoor space to throw, and we can do all throws into the net. And I'm like, man, I'm a throws coach. First time to fully be in control of my own program. And again, I love track and field. I love the throws, obviously, but I love track and field, all the events. And now being able to have that control and direction, and I have a plan. I have a plan in place, and I'm going to implement it, and hopefully it all goes well. We're going to be pretty good here.
Wow.
Oh,
And,
that's
and,
awesome.
and you don't have to share everything, but what is that plan? What's the mission for the track team? What's your vision?
Well, obviously, being a throws guy, I'm definitely going to build around a strong sprint team,
Okay.
jump team, definitely throws, and again, not minimizing any event, because you can't do everything at one time.
Yeah, of course.
Systematic approach. The great thing where I thought didn't really know where our distance program was, but we have this South African kid, Ponelli, who ended up at NCAAs in cross country. And that was a surprise because when I walked in the door, he was unsure whether he wanted to do it. So we have a good person in place there. And Coach Stevens and I have a plan. So part of that is just starting in the areas of our strengths and then slowly, systematically building the whole program.
Wow. Okay. Now you want to.
So you talked a little bit about your staff. Most of those coaches, were they already there when you came in August, or were there any new people that came on?
Well, I was fortunate enough to be able to get my staff, and fortunately, Eric Stevens, we go back 20 years. He was a manager for me at University of Arizona.
Oh, wow.
Gustafson was a heptathlete, a 6,000 point heptathlete at UCLA when I was there. And Trent Edgerton came highly recommended, some of my good friends in track and field, and he's done a great job. And in 2 weeks we start, so we're going to see the fruit of all the work we've done. So very looking forward and excited for that.
Wow. Wow. And where are y'all starting at in 2 weeks?
We open up in Lubbock.
Okay. Is that
Texas
the Courtney
Tech.
Nelson indoor, I think?
Yes, the indoor competition.
Wow. Okay. So you've been in recruiting, you're a big name in track and field world. What's been your impression of Texas and how track and field is in Texas and recruiting some of these high school athletes that, may not be familiar with your name, being a new guy coming in? What's that been, that experience so far?
Well, it's funny, like athletes they don't remember a lot of history. This era of athletes, they don't know, or they may not remember what's happened in the last 2 years. So in 2019, I had one of my best NCAA championships right here in the state of Texas, where I had 3 guys, 2 guys make the final in the. One guy just missed making the final. Had a female finalist in the hammer, shot, discus. Had a guy throw javelin. Had a guy in the hammer, and it was a great meet for us. And Alyssa Wilson, who is actually transferring here, who had up her undergrad degree at UCLA and will work on her master's program. She was a strong part of that team. So the fact that I was here, had success, I'm sure any of the athletes that may be graduating this year, they probably have no clue who I am. That was my thought coming in the door. And again, I went to UCLA, been at Power 5 schools. Athletes, they want the sexy Power 5 programs. And, I look at football, I look at basketball, I see these mid-major schools where these coaches, they get it and they turn these schools into powerhouses. And, a great example, Justin St. Clair, South Dakota University. I still mess that up. North Dakota State.
North Dakota State, yeah.
Thank you. So Justin turned that program into a powerhouse. He got it. He knew how to navigate. Now I come in the mid-major role. Now he's at Nebraska, and now I get to try to do what he was able to do there.
Wow.
And knowing that there are sources in place at mid-majors and understanding how to navigate will allow me to be successful.
Wow.
And going back to your question about the state of Texas, we went out, Luke and myself, my other coaches, and we had a plan of all the top athletes. And literally what it was, we contacted them and found out if they had interest. If they didn't, next, no harm, no foul. It's okay. But we were able to get some good early signings this last this past fall, with some good jumpers coming in, state champion in the women's shot put coming in, had a clinic December 4th, had a great turnout of kids. They were excited. The Hill Country Track Club, they were there. They did a great little post on us on Instagram. Really appreciated that. And, again, I love track and field. I love throws. And one of the things I try to build around is the success that's happened in the state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using Texas A&M. I'm using University of Texas to help recruit for us, because I'll let them know, okay, how many gold medalists university in the state of Texas, what area were they in? Two others from San Marcos. Also, there were 2 gold medalists within 30 minutes of San Marcos. Where were they? So I utilize that, letting people know it's a great place to come and train, go to school, to live. Here we are on the first day of 2022, and it's 84 degrees in San Marcos.
Awesome.
I was in California where it rained almost every day when I was there. And, here we are, great weather, great facilities, good opportunity to get some good training in.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's awesome. Well, welcome to Texas.
For sure.
I think it's going to be 20 degrees later today. So,
No.
so it goes from 80 to 20, just like that.
Now, you being a throws coach, and I think you just coached the men at UCLA. Now you're kind of responsibility for the women side too. You as a head coach, are you going to kind of look at this as a CEO approach and kind of let, all your coaches kind of coach, or are you going to kind of be more hands-on, if that makes sense as a question?
Yeah, well, even though I have the title of head men's coach, I did coach the women.
Oh, you did? Okay.
And early on with Mike Maynard was there. Mike coached the discus and the hammer. I coached the shot and the discus.
Okay.
Also, Maynard was finishing up with Julian Ruck, and then I started coaching discus, and he had the javelin. So again, I'm very, it's the same process I've had.
Okay.
For, 23 years coaching men and women, except at University of Florida. For 2 years, I coached women, and at University of Tennessee for 4 years, I coached women.
Okay. Gotcha. Now, I got to ask this in a sarcastic way. Are you an expert in cross country and track and field? When's the last time you ran a 5K?
Well, you got to define that. Probably walked a few five.
I got you. I was just being sarcastic. So, old shot putter, discus thrower, hammer thrower. When it's running long distance, unless it's to the buffet, I'm not running. For sure. Now, you have a strong history in throwing, and I'm not going to, I want to get into that. And congratulations on this opportunity. We wish you the best going on at Texas State. I'm just kind of curious, what has been in your background as a coach that's kind of led you to this position? You've had a lot of great stops at a lot of Power 5 schools. Has there been someone that's kind of helped you, molded you to get to this point, or has there been a certain event? What's led you to these steps to get to this point?
Well, that is such a great question, because it wasn't just one person. I'm going to put a little bit of time in this because it's so important.
Go ahead.
I was fortunate enough to be recruited by Art Venegas to UCLA, and I was his first high school athlete he brought into UCLA. And over the years, we've maintained a great friendship, relationship. And obviously I learned a lot about throwing and the history of our sport. And that obviously that was a big boost in my career and someone who kind of steered me to coaching. And then I was fortunate enough to have a legendary coach. Jim Bush was my head coach for 2 years at UCLA. And I was fortunate enough again to give his obituary at his funeral because of the relationship I had with him. And he would come out to the track every year, or excuse me, once a month. And we would talk about track. I would ask him things, how he approached it, how did he become successful. He poured a lot of his knowledge into me. I had Bob Larson, who replaced him, another Hall of Fame coach. Mike Holloway at University of Florida.
Okay.
Carol Smith Gilbert now at University of Georgia. Two people that have really been good influences. J.J. Clark, who's now at Stanford, another good influence. Worked for Tom Jones at University of Florida. Great thing about Tom, he taught me how to treat people, how to treat the athletes, really kind person. Worked with Fred Harvey at Arizona, Dave Murray at Arizona. I learned from those guys. I can keep going. Mike Maynard recently, who I worked with, learned a lot of great things from Mike. And I think probably, looking at all of those people, putting it all together, it's prepared me for this position.
Wow. Great answer. Great answer.
This may be hard to put you on the spot, but is there any one bit of specific advice from any of those guys you can think that you may use daily, or something that you come back and look at that they said to you that just has helped you in your coaching career?
Yeah.
That's tough. That's a tough question.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Jim Bush, I asked Jim Bush, what was the key to your success? He goes, John, always be organized.
Oh.
If you're not organized, act like you are.
That's good. That's
and I'm a big believer that organization will allow you to be successful, and always have a plan A, B, C, and D. And since I've been in this position, I've had to do that a few times where I had a plan in place, didn't work, had to trash it, go another direction. And fortunately, every time I did that, I was able to get back on the right track.
Wow. Okay.
That's good.
Now, you mentioned, initially that you came to UCLA and you were recruited by the legendary Art Venegas. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you were a glider, right, when you came to UCLA?
Correct. I was a glide shot putter.
Okay. All right. Well, now describe that first year for you as a freshman, and we're going to get into your background a little bit in high school, but that first year at UCLA, being, in a new environment in Los Angeles under this new coach.
Well, I was a state champion. I was a third-ranked shot putter in the country.
Okay.
So I was that typical athlete who thought I knew it all. I was a stud, smarter than the coach.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I remember Art was changing my stance throw technique. And I literally battled him for a couple weeks. And on my team was a guy, John Brenner at the time, who later became American record holder, guy who beat Michael Carter in the shot put at the NCAA championships. And John was improving, looking good. I finally said, Frazier, if this guy can listen to me, then you need to be smart enough to listen to me as well. And the next couple of weeks, I just said, okay, Art. I went downhill for about a week, and long story short, my PR stand throw was near 19 meters.
Wow.
I know, but I'm embarrassed to say that because I should have gotten more off my glide.
Yeah, that's true.
A good point.
That is so true. What was it like being in that practice environment in UCLA that first year with John Brenner and some of the other athletes that he's brought in, compared to maybe your senior year of only kind of practicing with yourself, so to speak?
Well, that's a great question. The one thing that I got out of being at UCLA when I came in as a freshman, John Brenner, here I was, a guy who was always the top guy. And then all of a sudden I'm down low man on the totem pole. But shot putting, we had Bill Green, who trained with us, American record holder in the hammer, guy named Greg McSeveny. Greg was a 67-meter discus thrower.
Wow.
Mike Smith. Mike was a 21-meter shot putter. They would come, they're open athletes who would come and train.
Yep.
And that year, there's a guy named, the Nickerson drill in the discus?
Yes.
Or spin shot. Karen Nickerson, who John Powell named that after, her brother Steve Nickerson was a hammer thrower for us at UCLA. Bright guy, knowledgeable guy. We had a good javelin thrower, a couple of good javelin throwers. Mike Izzy, who's now the athletic director at Cal State Northridge, guy named Jason Bender. So all of us came in together, and those guys literally, I was the stereotypical freshman who got the raw end of the stick every time. But honestly, it toughened me up, and being in that atmosphere where every day it's competitive. Even if you're in another event, everybody's trying to be the top dog on the team, if not top dog in the country.
Yeah. And that was, who did you room with your first year there?
So I roomed with a regular student.
Oh, did you?
But I spent a lot of time with John Brenner over different breaks. I stay at his apartment. And I'm not a big believer that throwers have to room with throwers. I like people getting a break. They don't want to talk throw 24/7. Let's say you had a bad workout, the other person had a good workout, then there's some decision.
Yeah, good point.
Break. And didn't know that at the time, but now looking at it, it was good that I didn't have a thrower roommate.
Was that something that Art kind of did on his own and kind of put you in with normal students and kind of get separation, or was that something you just kind of happened by circumstance?
Yeah, it just kind of happened by circumstance. We all came in at the same time, and eventually the last 3 years I roomed with a tennis player, and that was good. The great thing about the tennis player roommate, guy named Jeff Claparta, he was a great competitor. So we would always talk about the mental edge of competition. And that was something that I gained from him.
Wow. During your 4 to 5 years there, did you realize how special that time was and what y'all were building and what Art was doing? Did you ever kind of foresee, what he was going to do with Godina and some of the other people that he brought in down the line? Did you kind of like foreshadowing? Did you see it coming? Being
18 to 22 years old, you're only thinking about the moment. You're selfish, focused on what you're trying to do. And again, I graduated thinking I was a failure because I didn't win an NCAA championship, or I literally graduated. The next year they won a team championship. And then, years later, I'm like, I wasn't bad. I was a 3-time All-American.
Yeah.
I was 6 all-time on the shot put list. I was 2nd all-time on the hammer list before I left. And I look back on, I had a great career, but then when I look at, on the women's side, Jackie Joyner-Kersee, Florence Griffin-Joyner, Gail Devers, I have those young ladies as teammates. Wow, Kevin Young, Mike Marsh. I can keep going on.
Yeah.
These guys were my teammates. So again, learning from them and being around these type of people, that kind of, played into where I am today as a coach.
Wow.
I was never the best athlete. I always had to work harder than everyone else to try to be to the level where I was at.
Yeah. Yeah. Now Art switched you to rotational shot put, right?
Actually, no. So I glided.
He left you glide? Okay.
And the summer after I graduated, Coach Bush came to me. He called me the day I got back from NCAA's. Frazier, I talked to Al Davis with the Raiders, and I told him about that you ran a 4.5 40 at 265 pounds. and he wants to have you come out and see if you can make their squad. So I actually went out there for about 3 weeks, and I kind of killed it when I'm like, okay, am I going to be a football player or continue in track? And I asked Coach Bush, hey, can I get some guarantees here? Then the next day, I go out there to practice. The guy comes to me, Coach Davis says, we no longer need your services. And that was.
Oh, no.
So I say that to say that after that happened, I self-taught myself how to spin that summer.
Wow.
What I did is I just systematically didn't know what I was doing, just slowly just started spinning. And over the years, there are guys who probably have no idea. Biggest influence in my spin was a guy named Ron Backus, 92 Olympian in the shot put.
Uh-huh.
Ron and I competed at the same time. I was coaching at Humboldt State my first year. Had talked to John Powell at a meet, and that literally, we talked for about an hour. That literally changed the course of my coaching, because as us old guys, you were either in the John Powell camp or the Mac Wilkins camp. And I was kind of in the Mac Wilkins camp, but I'm a fan of both of them. But I learned a lot from John Powell that day.
Wow. Do you remember one thing he told you during that day? I'm just kind of curious. Is there something that he told you that kind of clicked with you to, go practice on your own for that rotation?
Yeah, you know what I like what he listened to jazz music, and everything was about rhythm and relaxation. And when you look at him, you look at his face, you always look relaxed until the very end of the throw. And just learning about rhythm and feel and letting the lower body naturally lead the throw. And that relaxation allows the upper body to stay in position and that lower body to develop the power.
Great answer. Great answer. And that's funny too, because I sit back at my self-evaluation, and I'm a former football player who can be pretty intense and kind of loud and obnoxious. Why is she making to my throwers? And I look back upon it and I watch they throw, and I'm like, we're not relaxed enough. And part of my self-evaluations is like, I'm creating that intensity for them, the stiffness, and we lose that rhythm. Because I see videos when they go throw on their own when I'm not there, and it's like, it's perfect. That's exactly what I want. But when you get in front of me, it's like, ugh.
We all have that same battle.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you.
It's
and I call myself a chameleon. So javelin, I'm very relaxed, making sure everyone's focused on their flow of their throw. Same in the hammer until the very end of the throw. The discus, but in the shot put, I am very aggressive. I'm loud. I like energy. I like to get guys going. Some of my greatest moments after guys hitting throws, chest bumping, high fiving. A funny story, Art, I kind of got that from Art. I remember it was my sophomore year, Pac-10 championships in Berkeley. In the hotel, we're walking to the track, and Art's like, Frazier, I need you to get ready for the throw. I need you to step up and do some big things for us. And I'm just walking down the street, and next thing I know, whack! He goes, wake up and get going. I'm like, Art, what are you doing? So I don't hit my athletes. I don't do that.
It's a different time.
Yeah, it is a different time.
Art hit me, and it was just comical. We talked about it, and it didn't help. But I first 60-foot throw that day. I'll say that.
Yeah, awesome. So what was your first impression of him when he came? What was your first impression when you met him? Did he do a home visit with you? And then kind of what were your options on your 5 options of recruitment? And, what led you to come to UCLA over the 4 other schools?
That's a great question. So I grew up a Trojan fan. Again, LA, you're either UCLA or USC fan. And I wanted to play football at USC and do track. And lo and behold, they had 2 great coaches, but not a true throws coach. It was Vern Wolf and Kim Matsuda. And they recruited me, but Art started recruiting me.
The Texas Track and Field Coaches Association. coaches education through our annual winter clinic, the state's #1 track and field clinic. Texas Track and Field promotion, our postseason Meet of Champions, lobbying efforts with the state's governing bodies, the Texas Track and Field Hall of Fame. If it involves Texas Track and Field, we're at the forefront. Join our mission in continuing to make Texas Track and Field the nation's best.
I was at the Mount Sac Relays, and I was sitting in the stands, and I hear a guy with a thick Mexican accent talking behind me. And I hear, I want to see if this guy Frazier is for real. I hadn't seen him compete in great competition yet. And I had no idea who the guy was. So at that meet, my very first throw, I hit a 1950 throw. It was a PR throw. And I was like excited, didn't improve on that. And then Art called me after the meet and congratulates me. And you know, the funny story, he's like, I'm one of the top 3 coaches in the world behind the Russians and the Germans. If you come to my school, at the time it was Long Beach State, he goes, I will either beat you next year or down the road.
He
That
said
guy
that.
over there throwing 40 feet. And Art will deny that story, but he said that to me. I'm like, who is this guy?
That is
But then,
a great
you know,
story.
moving forward, Art was in the midst of leaving Long Beach.
Mhm.
And either end up at USC, UCLA, or Arizona State.
Mhm.
Talk to him all the time, and lo and behold, he kind of sold me on where he was going to go, and he ended up at UCLA. And I went on a visit to Mississippi State. I went to Minnesota, several, California schools, like unofficial and official. And when I went on the official visit at UCLA, my father, who was one of my greatest supporters, passed away in 2008. He came on the visit, and he's like, John, I would love for you to come to UCLA. Always my favorite school. Whatever support you need, we'll support you. And again, I had great teammates, so I didn't get a full ride scholarship. I had to work and pay and stuff like that. And lo and behold, that's where I ended up. And because of Art and Jim Bush, they were
That's an amazing story.
great recruiters.
Just backing up a little. So you played high school football, right?
Yes, I did.
What position did you play?
My main position was O-line, D-line, but with my speed, I played linebacker, played fullback, played all over the offensive line, all over the defensive line.
Oh, did you? Okay. What wound up being your PRs for shot and disc coming out your senior year?
I was, I'll talk in feet. It was 65, 1 3/4 in the shot.
Okay.
And discus was like 167.
Okay.
And my discus was poor because I was never really taught how to throw the discus. I would just go out and throw. And that's why it took longer for me to switch to the spin, because I didn't know how to rotate. And the hammer rotation.
Yeah. Wow. Was there a certain coach that you had in high school that kind of helped you with your glide technique to get you over that 65? Is there someone, besides your dad, that had an influence on you as a high schooler?
Yeah, actually, there's a guy, Coach Kim McCluskey. He's the guy who introduced me to the shot put. I was in the 7th grade, and they lined everybody up, had everybody throw.
Yeah.
Big kid named Jim Bakewell threw 5 feet further than everyone. And I was second behind him. And that kind of motivated me to throw with Coach McCluskey. He was also a football coach, but he's old school Texas guy, and really good person. Rest in peace, Coach McCluskey. Then my high school coach, he did a good job, and I'm trying to think of his name.
That's all right.
But he did a good job with me.
You didn't throw any discus at UCLA?
No, I had 3 practices. and Art told me, don't touch a discus again. For
There you go. I was thinking there might be a story somewhere in there. Stay away from the discus.
And that was his expertise because he was one of the top 3 coaches in the world.
Exactly.
That's funny. Now, how would you describe your glide back then as a high schooler? I'm guessing you watched Al Feuerbach videos and VHS tapes. So that's kind of how you were introduced to glide shot put?
Yeah, like it's funny. So not only Al Feuerbach, George Woods, also someone who I really like watching. But remember they had the little like rollout sequence pictures.
Yes.
Of Al Feuerbach. I literally studied that. I didn't have film at the time. And I remember going to all-comers meets. They would have all-comer meets in Los Angeles. And there was a guy who showed me how to stand throw with my hips. And I immediately learned how to put my hips in the throw. That was my sophomore year, after the sophomore year of high school. And then that next year, I went from like 50 feet to 59 feet.
Oh, wow.
Senior year, I threw the 65 feet. And again, I was doing track and field as a hobby. I was a football guy.
Were you?
And when football coaches came up, you're too short, you're too this, you're too that. I was like, man, okay, well, let me do track and field where you either throw far or you don't.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And that's how I got full-time into track.
Wow. Do you ever wish to look back upon it and was like, man, I might have could have, there's a lot more money in the football in the NFL.
But you know what I realized is happiness and enjoyment is far valuable than money.
Yeah.
And literally, it's funny. Art told me this. He's like, Frazier, and this is my senior year. I was going to go to law school or possibly do local government. I was a political science major. And he's like, Frazier, look at the fun we have. You can hang out and get paid and have fun. And I was like, I wasn't ready for the real world. So I went to UC Irvine, worked there for a year, had my first All-American, a guy named Mike Morales, who was, I believe, he was at the NCAA's in the Hammer at the University of Texas in 1989.
Wow.
And that literally, like, boy, this is fun. It's like I'm still competing. And I knew I wasn't going to become a millionaire doing track.
Yeah.
So I kind of had a plan on what I was going to do and went ahead, got my master's in kinesiology and started coaching, enjoyed it. I do other stuff on the side, but the main thing was just my enjoyment. Most days, this is where I would rather be.
Wow.
Up, I don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask what got you into coaching, and you just answered that for me.
Wow.
So yeah, from a lawyer to coaching.
A backup question. So, that competitive your senior year and you were All-American stuff. Did you go to any trials? Did you make the trials for the U.S.? Was there maybe a back term goal to make the Olympics? Did you even try?
Yeah, well, I went to the 88 trials.
Okay.
And I think I was 16th place.
Okay.
15th or 16th, I went to the trials. And then after I finished that trials, I actually retired.
Okay.
I was playing around with that year at UC Irvine. I was just playing around the shot one day, hadn't even thrown, hadn't lifted weights. And I'm just playing around. And I end up throwing like 18 plus meters, not doing anything. I'm like, oh, this is fun. Go to another meet. And I remember it was a meet at Mount Sac. I remember Jim Doring was there. And I was all psyched up. I'm blowing out of the ring, but I'm still hitting 19 plus meter throws. And Doring's like, Frazier, what are you doing, man? I thought you were retired. That looks pretty good. So after that, I continually threw until 92. And at that time, I was like, you know what? It's a hobby. I'm doing it for fun. Let me just put all my focus into coaching. And
Wow.
I threw was, and again, against CJ Hunter at the West Coast Relays was my last meet.
Was it really?
Modesto, I think it was.
Wow. Now 84 Olympics being in UCLA, did you go and watch the Olympics there?
Well, yeah,
Did you see the shot
in
put?
84, yeah, 84 was real interesting because I had thrown 19 meters. I was a decent thrower, and didn't make the trials, and went and watched trials. And actually, I had a job. I was a driver for the BBC for the 84 Olympics.
Were you really?
Mike Powell was a driver also for, I think, France or Italy. There's a guy named Ed Tave. Ed was like a 27-foot long jumper at USC. He was a driver. There's a guy named Dwayne Biggers. He was a driver, like a 45-point quarter miler. And the BBC commentators were hilarious. They're like, our bloody drivers are better than our own Olympic team. So we had fun. That was a fun year doing that. And that was my first initial experience at the Olympic Games.
Wow. I hope they were good tippers back in the day, huh?
They were.
That's good. That's good. I'm curious, from what you've been as a glider your freshman year in 82 to what's going on now in the world of throwing, what's your assessment? The techniques change. The U.S. has a stronger representation. Brian Krauser's broke the world's record. Valerie Allman, 2 hours from you, is blowing up the world in discus. What's your feelings on all that?
I think with the internet, there's more access to information, and there's a lot of great coaches out there. There's a lot of great knowledge. I learn from everyone. I'll talk to different coaches, or I just sit there and listen to people at competitions, and I'm like, oh, let me try that. Or what's really cool, they just had the convention for track and field this a month ago or so. And I didn't go this year, but normally I go, and you'll get great information. It either validates what you're doing, or you learn something new, or you're reminded of something you hadn't done for a while. And so I think with all of the great coaching going on, and then people are training smarter, better knowledge in the weight room, better knowledge with nutrition. There's still drug use in our sport, but it's not the level of what it was before. And people are more patient in doing the right things to become better. And I think with all of those things in place, it's allowed track and field to go to another level. And you look at Ryan Krauser, who's physically, I've never seen anyone like him.
Mm-hmm.
I recruited Ryan when I was at University of Tennessee and did a home visit. And I told him in his house, I'm like, you know what, you're the best shot put talent of all time. And
wow.
All the thousands of drills he did as a high schooler, he was just lean, connected. What a great family tradition. His Uncle Dean, his dad, his other uncle, Brian, a javelin thrower. And you look at that and what his dad did for him, he's someone off the charts right now.
Yeah.
But then you look at Joe Kovacs, different body type, very explosive, very strong, very connected. And my thing about throwing in general, there are basics that we all have to do. There are many roads to it. And, I'll never be at a meet. I'll see an athlete doing something really crazy, and I'm not at the meet saying, oh, I can't believe that coach is teaching that kid that. Because you never know what happens all week in training. And your coach, if they deny this, they're a liar. They will teach an athlete a movement that will look perfect all week. They'll get to me like, what is going on?
Who coaches you? I didn't teach you that.
Yeah. And with that being said, that's the other aspect of coaching, is being able to get that athlete to at least come close to that great technique when the pressure's not on. And that's part of it as well. And I think just there are more well-rounded coaches. There's more education in coaching. I think all of that plays into the success of what we're seeing in our society.
Wow. Did you see Ryan break that world record throw? Were you there in the stadium when he did it?
Yeah, I was there. It was really impressive. And it's funny, it wasn't if he was going to do it. It was like when
Yeah.
Yeah.
get that record, and what great energy in the stadium.
Yeah. Did you ever think so in your lifetime you would see, because that was an old record, and I'm sure you've probably crossed paths with Randy Barnes and maybe seen him throw and stuff like that, doing your throwing career, whatever it may be in. Did you ever think you would see someone throw over 23 meters?
Okay, yes, I did. And remember, I'm from that era of Brian Oldfield, Brian with the long warm-ups. I saw Randy. I saw Randy break the indoor record, and I was in the Jack in the Box meet when he broke the world record.
You were there.
I was there. So I was that point of retirement, and Al Franken, the great promoter who recently passed away.
Yeah.
I take that back. Bobby Kersey ran that meet.
Okay.
Frazier, come throw the meet. We need a shot putter. And yes, I was in the meet. If you watch the video, you'll see me in the background after the throw, scratching my head.
So I have to ask, so if he got first, what place did you get?
I think I was fifth.
Fifth? Okay.
Out of five.
Out of
Hey, that's fine.
Hey, that's
We'll let that
okay.
part out.
I hope Frazier still paid you for at least appearance fee.
Oh yeah, I got my best appearance fee ever for that meet.
Good. Well, that's cool. So, is there something that you think Ryan, his size and everything and his work ethic is just kind of off the charts, but is there something technique wise that you think he does that kind of maybe separates him from the pack? Because I would reference his capability to consistently throw over 22 meters. To do that, every time, it's not like hitting a draw 300 yards every time, repetitively. Is there something you see in his technique that maybe kind of correlates to that consistency over 22 meters?
The one thing that I like what he does that I would say is the biggest contributor to that is his ability to connect from the very start of the throw. You can see from the back of the ring, he's connected all the way through the throw. And, obviously, athlete of a different stature can't throw like the way he throws, but I'll have athletes, and as a drill, I'll tell them, hey, try to throw like Ryan Krauser. And the point of that is to feel the connection of the shot put.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that he is always connected. And you always see, like at the very end of the throw, you might see a little bit of a rush, and you'll see his reaction where he knows he's missed it.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've seen that big throw yet. I think there's a lot more in him. You can see other little areas where he can improve. It's hard to with a 6'7" guy to feel the speed of a 5'10" to 6 foot guy. So I know that him and his dad and other advisors are working on areas where he can improve, but just his ability to understand the throw. You can tell he has a full comprehension of what he's doing.
Wow. So we're 25 meters, maybe?
Well, there's been rumors. I've heard rumors of throws in that range.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Me too. I've heard that. So I say, can you send me the video? No. Oh, I mean, that's a great answer. Moving on, I want to know your assessment of something, because you're in the same conference with her. And in my opinion, he's done a really good job of taking that talent at that time and molding. And that's something that we don't see, where a coach kind of gets this young thrower early and spends a lot of time with her through her college into her professional career. And I'm talking about what Zeb's done from Stanford to what he's done with Valerie now. What's your assessment of that?
Well, Zeb came in. I believe he had Valerie for 2 years at Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess their ability to connect and be on the same page, her ability to trust him as a coach, I think it literally allowed them to go in the direction. Valerie was a talent from afar, like her junior, senior years in high school. where her dancing background, you could see that there's something special about her. 70 meters at the time, I didn't think that, but here we are. And just looking at their connection, working together at competitions. Zeb puts a lot of video, Valerie puts a lot of video on Instagram of training. You can see that they're dialed in and working together.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important that an athlete buys into their coach. And it's okay to get outside information, but if another coach is trying to get the athlete to doubt their current coach, that's a problem. And I'm a firm believer that the worst coach with the most motivation is better than the best coach with no motivation, because that bad coach is going to keep trying to find a way to get better. And I'm not a firm believer, like there's a lot of good coaching going on.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I to say something negative about anyone who has success because they're not the so-called person that you think would be that great coach or whatever? But certain people click with certain people. I was fortunate enough to get Alyssa Wilson, high school national record holder, to come to UCLA, and lo and behold, she becomes a world-class hammer thrower. And it literally started that summer. She came in early for summer school. We literally did hammer drills every single day and just worked on fill. And she told me, Coach Frazier, my favorite event is the hammer. And lo and behold, that's where we ended up.
Wow. And you got it from New Jersey to UCLA, which is
yeah, but again, just with relationships with track and field, there's a guy named Joe Napoli. I coached his daughter at University of Tennessee. He threw with Judd Logan.
Mm-hmm.
And then Alyssa's dad, Jamie Wilson, and Alyssa wanting, hey, I want to go to the West Coast. I want to go to warm weather. And just having those people, who knew me, I knew them. And that was the glue that got us together.
Wow. Awesome relationship. And no doubt I've followed her career, and what you've done with her, has been tremendous. And I look forward to see what she does in Texas. And that's good too, because that leads me in, to high school coaching, to UIL. We're trying to promote hammer throwing. We're trying to get javelin throwing popular in the state of Texas. So to have someone of her caliber come into Texas and really see those big numbers is something that we want to see, because hopefully that'll motivate a young girl or a young boy to go out and try the hammer as well.
I like that. And, part of the December 4th clinic that we did to promote the sport of throwing, I wanted to keep it basic. I just did a shot disc. But at the end of the clinic, I'm like, anyone who has had any javelin or hammer experience, you're welcome to stay longer, and I'll work with you. And we had a few athletes stay back, and we're going to do a summer camp, and we're going to do hammer. We're going to do javelin as well within that camp. And I want to continually do that December clinic. And next time I do it, I'm going to have a hammer and a javelin component. The whole point, we're not worried about making money. We want to promote our sport. We want to help the young athletes, prepare them, the ones that want to go on and go to college. And I even tell them, hey, there's no pressure to come to Texas State. Just come, learn, have fun, and wherever you end up going, that's where you go.
Wow. So you had that December camp, for throwing. I remember seeing the stuff posted on social media. So will you be doing that like January, February, coming in early spring, or is that going to be something you're going to wait till summer to do again?
We're going to wait until summer.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep the focus on getting the team going.
Okay.
Definitely get the planning going for a summer camp.
Gotcha. So in a couple sentences, because we're kind of getting short on time here, if a young coach, in the state of Texas, or a young boy or female throwers go to listen to this, what would you tell them about what they're going to get with Coach Frazier at Texas State, and what they can get if they chose to look, at that university?
Well, the thing that they're going to get is a program that doesn't share facilities. So they're going to have full use of their facilities. They're going to have the support of an athletic administration Don Coryell, our athletic director, played college basketball. Travis Comer, who's second in charge, played college football. I can keep going. So they understand the needs of coaches. So they're going to get that support from the top. Again, this is my 33rd year of coaching. I understand the sport, and I have children their age. So I know I want my kids to be treated while they're in college right now. I'm going to treat those kids the same way I would want my own kids treated.
Awesome.
With that being said, they're going to have another throws coach there who they can work with. They're going to have competitions. Like right now, we have the great state of Texas, where we can go 2 to 3 hours any direction, and we have a legitimate competition to go to. We're not going to go out of state. We go to Nebraska indoors. We go to LSU out. But down the road, we're going to do a West Coast trip. We'll do an East Coast indoor trip to New York. So they're going to get the same experience Power 5 school is going to get. They're going to get Power 5 coaching. Like I said, I've been doing this. I've had a great recruiting class coming in. I have a 64 meter hammer girl coming in from Iceland. We have with Alyssa coming in. I have 2 good Nigerian girls coming in, over 52 meters in the discus. So there's going to be great training people right now. I can't mention the men. They're not committed yet, but I do have some men lined up that I'm bringing in as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. Have you tried any of that barbecue in that area? What's your opinion of Texas? I know you got to get better barbecue than UCLA.
Well, after being here since August, I will never eat barbecue out of the state of Texas, Missouri, North Carolina, and because I know those are good barbecue places. So early on, I was eating barbecue at least once a week. Then I'm like, oh, okay, I just need to limit it to when I have recruits in town. My New Year's resolution, once a month barbecue.
Once a month barbecue.
So good. And again, at my age, I got to watch what I eat.
Yeah, of course. Have you floated the river in San Marcos yet? I'm just jokingly asked, because that's usually
not yet. That's the one thing I want to do. The reason I can't. I was doing like 12-hour days every day when I came here, getting things going. Yeah. So weather warms up, I'm jumping in that river, going down the river.
Awesome. That's awesome. That's good to hear. Coach, it has been a pleasure to have you on. Is there anything you want to share or promote? I think we've covered everything. Have we missed anything?
No, I think you asked some great questions. You surprised me with some good questions. And again, I'm just happy to be here. Really excited that you guys wanted me to come and interview. And
of course, yes.
In the state of Texas, and just the love that I see from the people about their athletics, and just the support that I've gotten just being here in San Marcos. I really enjoy this.
Well, we wish you the best. We wish you the best, and go turn Texas State into a powerhouse in track and field, because that's going to do good for you. It's going to do good for the campus and the San Marcos, but also the state. And the more we can do for the state of Texas in throwing and track and field is just going to be better for everybody. It's going to be a win-win. So
I agree. And like I said, I have much respect for the other programs and appreciation for those that have allowed us to compete in their meets. So it's going to be fun. Awesome. So you're still invited to one of my practices any Sunday. You're welcome. Come on down. I got some throwers you need to check out in the future for sure. So God bless you, sir. We'll see you down the road. Okay. Good luck. Thank you. God bless you too. Thank you. We would just like to thank Coach John Frazier for being on. Just the reason we do this is just to hear stories of like that and the history. This guy has worked with some of the best throwers or throws coaches in the world, has worked with some of the best throws coaches. It's just very instilled in U.S. throwing. And how lucky is Texas State to have him
for sure.
as their director of coaching for track and field.
Yeah, for sure. I love listening to his, just the lineage of all the people that he had come in contact with, whether they were athletes who were on his team at UCLA or coaches that he had worked with, and then kids that he has coached. He's very knowledgeable and very much in what goes on in the world
of throwing.
Of throwing and organized. I wrote that down. The best advice he had: always be organized, or if you're not, pretend that you are. But he's like somebody that you're
is that what you
organized
do?
and what
Is you pretend that you're organized?
Sometimes, but you have a plan A, B, C, and D because you
Yeah.
have to think it all through. So
Yeah.
good stuff.
And I like the information he got from John Powell on the advice of jazz music, relax, and rhythm and relaxation and stuff. And I might not have kind of believed in that type of thing of relaxation and stuff, but as I evolve as a coach and learn more and become better at my craft, I realize that becomes more important. As far as relaxing the kids to be able to throw farther than versus what's tensing up and stuff. But and also too is just, not only John Frazier, but Luke Bryant, the throws coach there. And like he said, he's also part of the administration, being the athletic director and stuff is just, that's going to be a win-win for Texas State. I'm sure those programs and the camps that they're doing down there is going to be tremendous. I'm sure the recruits that he's bringing in are going to be tremendous, and we look forward to seeing what they do in the next 4 to 5 years, and maybe seeing some Sun Belt Conference championships come out of Texas State. So especially in their facilities that they have.
Beautiful facilities.
Yeah, it's going to be a win-win situation. So we appreciate John Frazier, and we wish him the best, and we'll see him down the road.
All right, we want to thank our sponsors again. Texas Track and Field Coaches Association. Go to ttfca.org. Fourthrows.com, quality implements priced right. Go to fourthrows.com, use the code TalkingThrows10 to get 10% off, or you can also get your Fiber Sport discus at fourthrows.com. Porta Circle, making throwing more accessible. Go to porta-circle.com. Use the code TalkingThrows10. As the weather starts getting cooler, you're going to need those. If you're in the Austin area, Ready Up Athletic Development, go to readyupad.com. Follow them on Instagram or Facebook. I say this every time, but I love the workouts that Zach posts of what his kids are doing on Instagram.
Hello, Talking Throws Texas podcasters. I'm Bruce Caldwell. I'm here today to introduce the Fiber Sport Discus. Yes, many of you thought I only made great vaulting poles. I have been bringing quality discuses to the throwers' hands for over 40 years. First as Cantabrian USA representative, then for the past 10 years as the Nelco discus distributor. I introduced the yellow-plated discus for the plastic's best durability. If your Fiber Sport discus breaks, we replace it. Our studies have reached into the science of using a wind tunnel and adding microchips to the discus to find the spin, the gravity, the flight stability of the discus. We have found it's not about rim weight anymore. It's more about creating a balanced stability to allow the discus to fly and surf the wind. Our new Fiber Sport discus is made to be selected to fit your needs, no matter the weather, no matter the conditions. Check out our discus selection guide at fibersportdiscus.com and find a dealer in your area that sells our fine product. Thank you, Jason Janelle, for allowing me to talk with your listeners on Talk and Throws Texas Style.
And then go to thethrowingfactory.com. We got indoor season coming up. Check out Coach Kai Smith at West and Coach Charvis at East at the Throwing Factory. And give us a shout out as our high school seasons are starting. I don't know why you put me like that. As our high
give
school,
us a shout out. Please give us a shout out.
As everyone's starting their high school seasons here in January, we get back at school. Kids are going to want to throw. Give us a call.
Yes,
We'll give you some lessons. Some middle school kids who've never thrown before, reach out. I'd love to work with you on teaching you shot and disc so you can get an opportunity to make the team, especially if you've never picked one up before. And we would love to do that.
And you can find our information on thethrowingfactory.com. So remind everybody too about the shopping page on there. So if you're looking for apparel, but then also too, we started a company last year. It was Olympic lifting called Lifting DFW Mobile Fitness Station. What tremendous response we've had from our kids, but training other kids and feedback from social media as well. We will be selling the trailers in 2022. There's been delays with manufacturing all that stuff and all the ports and being clogged up and everything, but we will get that going. So if you just be patient, we'll make announcements to the websites coming out there. But if you do want some personal training or Olympic lifting workouts or anything that I do with my lifting program, contact me through liftingdfw.com, and we will follow up with you. And then remind to follow us on YouTube channel, please.
And podcast.
And podcast.
Thanks.